Welcome back to Hospitality. Now is the time of the podcast where we make a little top 5 list. Really, it's like a top 15, top 14. We're cheating. We do our own top 5s. And tonight we're talking about top 5 downtown wineries. Dave, you said you worked in kind of an urban winery setting in your earlier days. And are downtown wineries underappreciated? I think they are by me because my guests typically they're hiring a driver to go out to the vineyards and everything like that. Yeah. But there's so much good wine in downtown tasting rooms that I don't get to take people to, and it kind of kills me.
Well, there's so much value in offering folks a list when they're on their way back to Portland to catch a flight, or they have an extra day they're out with the driver. When they're paying hourly to be with the driver, they want those unique experiences. Yeah. But there's some killer tasting rooms.
And if you're when people talk about back in the day and a lot of like nice food places, they talk about hole in the wall. Yeah. You don't find a lot of hole in the wall places that are sitting on beautiful vineyards. So if you're trying to find like an up and coming or a young winemaker who potentially is making this awesome something new, a downtown place is a good place to look because they're not going to be able to afford a beautiful site.
Right. Well, and some just have vineyard sites that are so far away from the main toury areas. Yeah, they're still making great wine. They still want to capture that downtown audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and actually, as far as like up and comers, that brings me to. Wesley's going first.
Come on,
Wesley's going
get
first.
It together.
Excuse me, I'll get to mine.
I got to crane my neck to see my list.
That's such a good one.
Abbey Creek is my favorite. They just opened a downtown Portland tasting room, but they've had one out past Hillsborough for quite a while, and I'm forgetting the name of the little town. It's past Forest Grove. Anyway,
Cornelius or something.
Yeah,
or what's out there? I don't know what's out
something.
there.
We'll make a note in the Stefan. That's your job.
Sure,
you get to make notes.
I'll be right on that. Abbey Creek. It's on Abbey Creek, obviously.
Abbey Creek.
Just follow Abbey Creek on the map.
Evening Land, definitely. The downtown Dundee tasting room. Alit, another downtown Dundee tasting room. It's great for buyers of the entire spectrum. Whether you're trying to get something that's affordable, grow champagne for $35 or 150 Rose and Arrow.
Yeah.
Which they're all fantastic. And Paul does a great job with their tasting room.
Dynamic.
R. Stewart, McMinnville.
Cute.
Some really good little bubbles. Little bubbles. That sounds condescending. I'm sorry.
Normal size bubbles.
My mouth was moving faster than I meant.
Little bubbles more desirable though?
They are.
You want the small bubbles?
That's true.
I digress.
High fluid, but that's downtown McMinnville.
Yeah.
You're just strolling around.
Right.
Oh, I just had a little lunch. I could use a little tasty taste.
And right now, downtown McMinnville has closed down the entirety of 3rd Street for outdoor seating for restaurants. So it's just like a big festival almost. Yeah. Allow those restaurants to have a little bit more seating.
Yeah.
Another McMinnville tasting room, Elizabeth Chambers, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Got a beautiful old historic building that they sort of repurposed.
The Pinot Ghetto.
Yeah.
That's over there. We got another, at least one more from the Pinot Ghetto coming
back towards the granary district.
The gardens are beautiful though.
The
Chambers.
Right.
Well, and they partner with food trucks too. So for a long time they were doing pizza like on Friday nights, and it's special little spot.
Cool.
I did it again.
And if you're in light of recent events, if you're trying to support local black business owners,
right? Bertoni,
or Abbey
Creek.
Yep, at Abbey Creek.
Abbey Creek is a place that we think we want to make a.
It's a cool vibe. It's one of those vibes too that's just inclusive to everyone.
Yeah,
like he has a DJ that spends Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah,
and it just feels like family. You show up and he's also the only winemaker I know that's sponsored by Carhartt. Like he has a shoe deal and a clothing deal.
It's his brand. Yep.
It's him.
Hell yeah.
And you walk in and there's paintings of like Biggie on the wall. And his DJ's going, and
there's a vibe.
It really feels like family.
Yeah. Highly recommend all the places Wesley talked about, but definitely that's something I want to make a point of.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Up and coming winemakers I was going to mention. Will over at Violin Wines makes his wine in downtown Amity. I never get out there, hardly ever, but it's
a hike.
Those wines are dynamite, and his lower priced wines are a steal. And Will's a great guy, super down to earth, and he looks like he's sponsored by Carhartt. Just totally cool guy, great wines. Medfin, downtown Dundee, they have done such a great job of making that tasting room like a scene.
Yep.
Because they're doing even during COVID right now. they've got that lawn, and they're doing music like Wednesday through Sunday or something.
Yeah.
And they're doing it.
Well, and they have the
consistently. It's
Copitos
amazing.
truck right there too.
And the
There,
Copitos truck.
so you can get
Yep.
gorgeous Mexican food and
Yeah.
then go eat, listen to some music.
And you get one of my favorite people in the Valley, Shanna Ellis, as the tasting room manager.
Oh,
yeah.
for there.
she's
She
awesome.
is
She's
a
a hoot.
riot. Love that woman.
Yeah,
She's
you're gonna have
amazing.
some fun if you show her a little spunk. She'll give you a lot of spunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she has a story for everything. Dinner and a show.
No, it's a good spot for sure. And then let's see, Irie, down in the Pinot Ghetto in McMinnville. They always pour something from the library. So if you want to see how Oregon Pinot ages, they love giving you that pour. In 86 or 93, whatever. Just like, hey, check this out. And they have that huge deep cellar library program where you can buy those older bottles that they actually like test. They extract some of the wine and test it and make sure that it's still kicking, so they can guarantee like this wine's still rocking.
Yep.
We'll sell it to you. I mean, it ain't cheap, but shit, I mean it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's
How many other
totally
places
worth it.
though are you going to get bottles from the 80s?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a worth a stop, definitely.
yeah. Especially if you're staying in downtown McMinnville and
Right.
you're walking around, and it's a little bit more of a hike going out there, but the history there is awesome.
Yeah.
Flaneur, downtown Carlton, one of the coolest little towns in the area, probably the coolest little town. I mean, the money that they put into fixing up that grain elevator?
Yeah.
Grain elevator.
Yep.
And they've got a beautiful patio. The wines are really good. Nice Chardonnay program going there now. They have a Pinot Meunier, I think. Good wines there. Good atmosphere. It's a cool
And
spot.
Grant's just dynamite as a winemaker.
Lights out.
Yeah.
Lights out.
Awesome
Yeah.
ones.
And then another downtown Carlton place, Tendril. Different vibe. But their Tony's wines are very, very good. He's got the two different flights. He's got the Child's Play flight, kind of the cheaper wines, but still very good. And then he's got the Tendril wines. Some of them are pretty pricey, but also good. You can have a little picnic there on the lawn. It's right there by Ken Wright's winery, and they're super chill. They've got a. I love the warmth over there. Like you feel like welcome. Like they're just happy to have you there.
Yeah.
And
It's an important thing to have at a wedding. tasting.
please,
Nice to know.
let's keep that.
Yeah.
Can we please keep that in the valley? Don't make everything so fucking hard. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
be welcoming and
just-
kind.
Yeah.
That'll take care of half the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's just me. People are just getting tired of me.
No, I agree.
All right, cool.
I'll start off with Purple Hands, of course. I'm a big fan of that tasting room. The building is really cool.
Yeah.
During harvest, you can often go back and have like a little tour of what they're doing. The winery is so close to the tasting room. It's a good, cool experience. Argyle, because I mean the bubbles are, you can get a flight of bubbles like nowhere else in the valley.
Yeah.
Beautiful space.
Yeah, they redid their tasting room a few years ago, and it was it's beautiful space. Dobbs also redid their tasting room. They have a really nice garden in the back. It's a good place to bring lunch. You can bring food there.
Yep.
A lit. Oh, I agree with everything Wesley said
Yeah.
about the place. It's it's a small space, but they've done a really good job with kind of everything that's there. It looks like it's where it needs to be, where it's supposed to be.
Right.
And then Ken Wright, he took the old train station in downtown Carlton and renovated it, made it into a really cool little space. So
Yeah.
I love Ken Wright's.
The wines are pretty good too.
Yeah,
They don't suck.
not bad.
Yeah. Well, and now like they put out the little placemat for you.
Yeah.
And they have everything labeled of what you're drinking. They pour them all at the same time, so you
Yep.
can taste them side by side.
Yeah, it's an educational.
Yeah.
Well, in
experience as
education
well.
too. If you go to their website and you want to learn anything about the history of their vineyards, Ken put together. Were you at I went with you, I think, to the Linfield lecture
Yeah.
that Ken gave,
Yeah.
and he did all of the lineage as far back as records exist of who owned what are now his vineyards, what was planted on them, the family history, pays homage to all those families.
Wow.
And you can go to their website and pull it all up.
Yeah, Ken's a great educator in general.
Yeah.
He does not hold back on his opinions, and it's kind of refreshing too. It's,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
At this point, he's earned the privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
What are you saying about us though?
Whippersnappers.
We are.
Yeah.
That's true. We
Yeah.
haven't earned it yet.
but yeah,
Do you have any favorites, Dave?
You know, there are some that I really like that I would add to that. One is kind of in the same area that Evening Land is, Lake Cadou. owned by a good friend of mine, Tom Mortimer. He is before we moved here from Cincinnati. Tom had brought his wines to the Cincinnati International Wine Festival. I went to meet, and I didn't know who he was, but at the time we were just trying to connect and network with any winemakers we could.
Yeah.
And Tom doesn't make the wines; he owns the place. But absolutely one of the nicest, most genuine individuals. His presentation that he has on how his vineyards are over up on Parrot Mountain. His presentation on the boulders that he had to dig out in order to get that vineyard up and running is just crazy to see in person. So yeah, they're absolutely, and their wines are fantastic. Definitely worth a visit. Another one, Fox Farm, right in downtown Dundee, is my buddy Dave Fish. Dave's a great guy.
He's there.
And he's there, and that's the thing. And he's got a really diverse selection.
Yeah.
And he has, I don't know what they do with live music anymore, but pre-COVID, he had a good amount of live performers in. And the other nice thing is they tend to be open later, so they're open till 7. I think Methven was open till 8. So if, folks were in a place and you were asking, hey, where can I hit, one last place, like either right before, right after dinner, that's another good spot.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, and the Lid is open. They're right next door to them. They're open till 7 as well.
Till 7 as well. Okay.
It's a good corner to be at if you're going to end your day somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, because you got all those restaurants right in downtown Dundee, so that's a nice one. And then the other one I really also like is Artisanal, right down here in downtown Newburgh. Family owned and operated. They've been there forever, making really, really great stuff. It's interesting. I mean, Newburgh kind of downtown Newburgh has that different vibe than downtown Mac. So, it's not quite like, tasting room restaurant or so on. And, it's just not always as obvious. But, when you find those little hole in the wall places, you just get that vibe of like, you can just go in and relax and you just feel like you're at home.
Yeah.
There are for Newburgh not being as nice as 3rd Street, the downtown, there are some good wines. Like Adam Cara has good wines.
Yep.
I like the Long Play wines. AFI has solid wines. So you can spend a little afternoon down there.
Should have mentioned AFI, by the way. They're fantastic.
Chehalem.
Chehalem
Oh,
does a
yeah,
good job.
Chehalem.
Downtown
That wasn't
tasting
on the
room.
list.
Yeah.
Chehalem often has food carts and does music and live
Open
events
later.
also.
Well, and their food program too, even when there isn't a food truck, is their charcuterie program is top notch.
Yeah.
Well, and they're right next to the food cart pod.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you live
during the day.
if you live near any of these places, don't drive to a vineyard on your Saturday and just go to your neighbor
Go hang
and
out.
see what they're making.
Yeah.
Well, and I know for a fact Chehalem, they also will do blowout sales like on stuff that they're like, hey, we're getting in the new rosé. This stuff's $15 a bottle or whatever until it's gone.
Right.
And you don't get wind of those deals unless you're there.
Yep.
So you gotta but they've pretty robust wine club and everything down.
And great people in their tasting room as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for Daniel. Fuck that guy. I love you, Daniel. Mwah. Don't leave us. Don't leave us.
Now,
We love Chehalem.
Dave, did you ever entertain the idea of a downtown tasting space, particularly when you were getting started, or was that always off the table?
I don't know that it was off the table. I think my wife, in some ways, would have been much happier to have not had a vineyard to worry about. I think it just, when you're in Ohio, it's sometimes easier to kind of visualize just having a retail space just to be able to sell wines through there. But then when you come out here, there's just the feel of being at a vineyard. There's so much about the experience. And, one of the things we always say is, we've got, 600 some wineries here in the valley. Darn near all of them make really, really good wine. What is going to separate you as a business? And so in addition to that, so you've got to have the experience. Well, a big part of the experience is that sense of place.
Yep.
And, when folks are here or, kind of wherever, and you've got the vineyards right here, you're physically that close to the vineyard, it just changes so much of your perspective about, what you're experiencing with the wines themselves.
Have you ever had anybody lean over the rail there and go, I'm king of the world? Because it's almost like that's the ocean and you're on the Titanic. Like, you're so close to the vineyard. It's right there.
Dang it. Now I guarantee you the next 10 people that visit here are going to try to do that.
I'm going to do
And just
it
all they have to
before
do is
we're
walk
done.
down the little stairs and they can go right in.
Right.
We'll take people down in the vineyard. I mean, that's kind of one of the fun things, too. Because, a lot of folks that see us, this may be as physically close as they've ever been to a vineyard.
It's true. Just come up right to the deck.
So they'll have a lot of questions to ask. And, rather than just, show them pictures, sometimes we say, well, would you like to just walk right down and we'll show you exactly what's going on in real time?
Right. This is what Vrasian looks like in real life.
Exactly. See all these ugly little bugs? Yeah, sometimes they happen. You just deal with it.
I mean,
They're
country
probably
living.
in the fermenter
Where's
when
my
we're making
shotgun?
our wine.
Yeah.
There's lots
Protein.
of fruit flies too, but don't worry about it. We filter them out.
All right, that's going to do it for this segment. We will be back in just a moment.